Tagovailoa returning to the practice field today after being designated to do so from injured reserve yesterday. The Dolphins preparing for the Jaguars in London this Sunday. Brian Flores providing an update on Tua's health this morning. And for more on this story, we welcome in Ian Rappaport. Ian, we heard Brian say this morning that they're hopeful that Tua can play on Sunday. What more can you provide on that story?
Omar, this has been the week ever since the Miami Dolphins really took it out of Tua Tagovailoa's hands and said, you are going on IR, you are going to miss 3 games. This has been the week they are targeting. They believe that his couple cracked ribs would be able to heal enough that probably by the 2 to 3 week range he would be good to go. They just didn't want him getting out there hurting himself anymore, so they put him on IR, put him away, took the pressure off, with hopes they would bring him back this week. He is, as you mentioned, active for practice. He is practicing today, and one thing that Coach Brian Flores said earlier today is that he does, in fact, expect Tua to be available. He also expects Jacoby Brissett to be available as the backup. Assuming all goes well in practice, assuming there are no setbacks, you should see the Miami Dolphins offense back like it was, which is to say with Tua in as their starting quarterback.
And we've seen Tom Brady all week with that bandage on his right thumb, very similar to the bandage he had leading up to the AFC championship game in 2017 when they faced the Jaguars. All eyes on that thumb as Tom Brady gets set to face the Eagles tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. What more can you provide about Tom Brady's health?
Yeah, I remember that old thumb injury. I was told pretty quickly early on that week, yeah, Brady should be good to go. He should be fine. Only do we find out later just how horrifically mangled his thumb was. Ended up playing, of course. This is not as bad as that. But Brady also should play with a somewhat injured thumb. He was pretty clear yesterday talking to reporters. This is not nothing. It is a thing. It's a throwing hand injury to a quarterback. Of course, the greatest quarterback to ever play. It is not nothing to shrug at, but it is also not a major injury. So what I would expect from Tom Brady is for him to go out there and look basically like he does, but also playing with some pain. Now, Brady did say he thought the pain would subside in a day or two. Said that yesterday, 2 days out from Thursday's game. So perhaps by Thursday he's completely fine. I wouldn't expect him to be 100%, but Tom Brady always plays, and that should be the case as well tomorrow.
Cardinals, a lot of the attention will be on the quarterbacks, but these are 2 resurgent defenses. But Ian, the Cardinals could be shorthanded in that regard. What more can you tell us about that?
The Cardinals are expected to be shorthanded with Chandler Jones landing on the COVID-19 reserve list and Cliff Kingsbury just telling reporters that Chandler Jones does have symptoms. That means that it is extremely difficult, if not maybe impossible for him to be able to get out there on Sunday because the way this works is he has to be symptom-free and has to test negative for COVID-19 24 days apart before the game. If he already has symptoms now, it's hard to believe that by Thursday or Friday, he will then test negative for COVID and be able to play. Of course, if he doesn't test negative by Friday, then he is definitely out because then he can't test negative twice in 24 hours. Either way, the Arizona Cardinals not expecting to have their sack master on the field in this big-time game on Sunday.
Yeah, it would be a big blow for them. The Browns could be getting Jadeveon Clowney back. Would be a big boost for them. Certainly something to watch here this weekend. Ian Rappaport, thank you very much. Much more from you throughout this. With an update on star left tackle Laramie Tunsil of the Houston Texans. Ian.
Laramie Tunsil suffered a torn UCL in his thumb. Difficult, very difficult injury for an offensive lineman, let alone one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, who has to use his hands on every single play. And when he got the initial diagnosis on Monday, I'm told that the plan was to try to put off surgery and play through it. Then he had a second opinion this morning and realized, smartly probably, that playing through it is unbelievably difficult, if not impossible. So Laramie Tunsil is expected to have surgery probably tomorrow. Should be out about a month. You should see a stint in IR for the Pro Bowl left tackle for the Texans.
Texans, of course, getting ready for that game against the fellow 1-4 Colts in the AFC South. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'd say he's kind of on track with everything right now. He's with the trainers. He can't walk through or practice or anything with us. Say he's in the meetings. He's participating in that part right there. We'll go through the rest of the week and kind of see where that all leads.
If everything does go, and he progresses every day as planned, is being ready for Sunday an option?
I would say from all the information we have, yes. If he's cleared medically, it would be an option. Specifically about Saquon, I'm not going to go ahead and brush him off like he's not an impact player on the team, okay? So you lose a lot of leadership, but that comes from everyone on the team, so we've got to step up in that regard.
Let's say hello now to Kim Jones, who's at the Giants facility. Kim, we heard Joe Judge provide a little bit of an update on Daniel Jones' health, who was knocked out of the game with that concussion. What more can you tell us about his situation here a few days away from kickoff?
Well, hello, Omar. You know, as Joe Judge was talking to reporters, Daniel Jones walked out of the facility, the back of this facility, along with his teammates. Like his teammates, he was in pads. He did not participate in practice in pads. But when Joe Judge was asked, what can Daniel do at practice today, he said, observe. Well, we observed Daniel Jones do a lot more than that. He was working on his footwork. He was sprinting on the backfield, and he was throwing the football, tossing the football might be a little bit more accurate, but certainly he was throwing the football around. And further, I asked Joe Judge during his press conference, could Daniel Jones play Sunday even if he does not practice at all this week? Joe Judge essentially, Omar, said yes. He would put his starting quarterback on the field Sunday against the Rams at MetLife Stadium, even if Daniel Jones does not practice this week.
That's an important nugget there, Kim, and certainly good news to see Daniel Jones there back on the practice field. We all saw Saquon Barkley's ankle, the size of the grapefruit there in Dallas. What's the latest on Barkley's health?
Yeah, Kenny Golladay and Saquon Barkley were the two big Giants who were not on the practice field at all today, Omar. With Golladay, it's a hamstring issue. We'll see when we see him again. With Barkley, it's that ankle that incredibly he stepped on Jordan Lewis's foot. I don't know if you've ever done it, Omar. I've done that, not on the football field, of course. It seems to be incredibly painful. I was shocked at how that thing ballooned up right away. And I was also struck by the idea that the football gods are really, really mean sometimes, because Saquon worked so very hard to come back from that ACL plus. And now here he is with what you would almost call a freak injury on the football field.
When Christian McCaffrey and the Panthers. Big game against the Vikings this weekend. What more can you tell us about C-Mac?
Well, he practiced on a limited basis last week, which was good news. Then he was doubtful for the game, which is fine because they weren't going to push him, weren't going to do anything that put him out of his comfort zone, didn't want him to re-injure it further. He was out at practice today, probably limited, but we'll see what his status is. Now, if you're the Carolina Panthers, what you'd really like is to get Christian McCaffrey, who is suffering from that hamstring injury on Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago. You'd like him to practice fully at some point this week before he is able to play in the game. Not saying that guarantees it, but that's what you would like. Assuming he has no issues today, you hope to get a full practice either Thursday or Friday or something close to it, and then have him on the field Sunday. Being on the field today means at least he has got a shot to return.